Oh, mistress!
You took your time. I've been waiting here for 5 minutes.
I like to be fashionably late. Besides, I wanted to finish that episode. You're going to review Joyful Noise. Yep.
Oh, God!
That's a good impersonation of the film. Have you seen it before? Oh well. I gotta watch more Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
1, 2, 3,
Joyful Noise came out in 2012, and it's the third film by Todd Graff, a former actor most famous for being one of these characters in The Abyss. I'm not going to point him out though, because I'll just end up punching the screen. I'm really not sure why a patron would request a harmless musical comedy drama about a small-town gospel choir starring Queen Latifah and Dolly Parton. I can only assume it's an expensive practical joke on me. Luckily, I made a far tougher stuff than most people realise, and it didn't have the desired effect. Joyful fucking noise! Executions I can understand. That's 90 minutes of people being executed for real. It's a film, it makes sense, and paradoxalis. It's about all of humanity being wiped out except for 3 men, but then one of them randomly turns into a woman and they all go fucking nuts! That makes sense! Not joyful fucking noise!
Mistress, I think I know something that will make you feel better.
What?
Here.
I'm not ready to commit suicide! Maybe after I've seen it!
No, for me.
What makes you think it would work this time?
I have faith.
Oh no, this fucking film's not gonna embarrass me again.
My brothers and sisters, I ask you now to put your hands together and pray, for our mistress, the divine Hagan, has been sore tested by the evil one in the form of this bland, false gospel of Dolly Parton's. A joyful noise. Now, brothers and sisters, I need you to pray with me. Pray for the strength and perseverance of our beloved divine Hagan, that she may withstand this false gospel, lest we be left bereft of her presence in a world of blandness and Queen Latifah movies.
We open with a cry for help disguised as an innocent studio ident, another designed to lull me into a false sense of security by convincing me that Film Brain's nearby. And the film begins, not with a shout or a whimper, but with substandard gospel. AKA gospel! Presenting the sentient wig and her elite band of anthropomorphic Cadbury's Dairy Milk singers. I'm officially demoting Queen Latifah to Duchess for being part of this shit. Chris Christopherson aged into a weird mix of Bill Murray and Tom Hanks. I'm impressed that Dolly Parton can emote through all that Botox, though. She's like a drag version of Admiral Moti from Star Wars.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader.
Almost immediately, Christopherson realizes that self-respect is fun and fakes his death. Good thing Dolly Parton didn't try that, or literally no one would notice. The actual dying happens off-screen, so we can come back later on. You see, the only point of reference I actually have for him is Blade, and I'm going to run that into the ground even deeper than his coffin. The film takes place in the small town of Packashaw, Georgia. Sounds like a real place in Georgia. Europe. It's a proud little town whose main speciality is personalized depressing signs.
We are here today to celebrate the memory of Bernard Sparrow. Bernard loved life.
Clearly not enough.
With his last breath, he led our choir to victory in the regional semifinals. Let the church say amen.
Amen.
I can't show you the whole thing because of YouTube and its irritating obsession with fair use, but Pastor Johnny Cochran's sermon is long, meandering, pointless, disjointed, and makes no fucking sense.
Now, my brothers and sisters, what you must understand is that pirates are the very best defense when you're dealing with kangaroos, and I assure you, brothers and sisters, that any timely cutbacks to me, why, they're purely coincidental.
God judges a man on two things, on his faith and on the contents of his heart.
Unfortunately, the contents of that heart ended up caking his rib cage. Dolly Parton's taken into the office afterwards, so Pastor Cochran can tell her that Latifah will be taking over as Empress of the Choir.
The church council has already discussed it, and we've decided to offer the position to Vi Rose Hill.
Vi Rose? Well, I mean, nothing against Vi Rose, but...
But she doesn't have any hats as big as mine. Also, seeing as I am Southern, is there any way I can escape this scene without coming across as accidentally racist? I'm afraid not. Well, then I'll just sit here, trying to make the scene interesting via my hat. The other church members are a motley crew of stereotypes and half-formed people that only barely register as characters. AKA, actual Georgians. Oh, burn! High five, minion! High five, minion! High five, minion! High five, minion!
Hey, dude. The mistress has been calling you for like 5 minutes. You're holding up the review. Get a move on. Go.
The mistress needs me!
You took your time. Good, you saved me a bullet.
Caleb, what is your country ass eating?
Pig and pickle mash. You want some?
Ugh, get that mess out of my face. Caleb, you are so country,
You constantly vote against your own interests in order to fuck over people even further down the totem pole than yourself. Then what follows is them giving each other shit for being rednecks.
She said he been married 3 times and still got the same in-laws.
Small town, big family. That's just law averages.
Good work, it saves me the trouble of having to do it. Dolly Parton's really not letting this choir master thing go. It must come with a killer riding crop and a human-drawn carriage.
Well, don't you look as happy as a puppy wagging 2 tails.
The council chose me over you.
This is funnier if you imagine that they're really into Magic the Gathering.
When foxes pack the jury box, the chicken's always guilty.
And when folks get too wrapped up in themselves, they make very small packages.
I'm gonna need a translation.
When foxes pack the jury box, the chicken's always guilty.
And when folks get too wrapped up in themselves, they make very small packages.
Latifah's sunglasses aficionado of a son is Spectrum with an interest in one-hit wonders. It's actually handled fairly competently.
And why do you have those sunglasses on? You look like Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige had many hits, but I prefer one-hit wonders like Sir Mix-a-Lot.
What's not handled competently is Latifah speaking in code like it's a threat.
Just remember, it's always free cheese in the mousetrap. But trust me, the mice there ain't happy.
She's gonna put his dick in what? He's the non-church attending young ruffian from the wrong side of the track. Yes, track. The town is so small it only has one. And he wants to date her daughter.
But trust me, the mice there ain't happy.
Well, yeah. Mice don't usually eat cheese.
You know, 30 more feet and you actually be inside the church instead of loitering outside.
And if he was still in the car, you'd be very unhappy. Parton returns home to her giant gun collection to find her house being burgled by her grandson.
Ah, Virgo! Wait, it's me.
Randy?
Probably grandson, he is meant to be a teen. She really should shoot him on principle. I mean, he either broke a vase and somehow didn't notice or didn't care enough to clean it up. He's living with her now. There's more plots in this film than people who live in this town. That's not as hard as it sounds. Anyway, the next morning there's choir practice in the magical church, where during this live song, in this big wooden room, acoustics don't seem to exist.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
You see a man in the mirror? That might be a window.
Wanna make the world a better place. Take a look at yourself and then make that change.
You know what? I think I will. Teddy, make a change!
Yes, Mistress. How's this, Mistress?
I'm sure the bigger dick suits you, but I kinda meant the music. They sing the whole fucking song. The whole fucking song! The whole fucking song! Halfway through I was able to go out and shoot some people. It wasn't because I was angry either, I was catching up on some work.
Woo! Are you kidding me? Make some noise up in this bitch!
No, fuck off, guy that was cloned from the less attractive Topher Grace's nuts. Also, holy fuck! The song ended!
Did you hear what that voice said?
Probably, but I wipe my memory of everything in this film the second it happens. It's a survival mechanism. For everyone else. Latifah and Dolly Parton are spending their time complaining with each other. Honestly, I'm smelling a choir-based Romeo and Juliet coming up, and we're not lucky enough to have it be between a mannequin made of collagen and a large side of ham.
Like she better than everybody else just because she's rich.
According to the prosperity gospel, she is.
Do you know who's better than everyone else? Why, it's our divine Hagan, of course. Now, Mars Girl is pretty good. I would say just about that close. But our divine Hagan is the greatest. And how great is she, you might ask me, my brothers and sisters? She is so great, so very great, that the only place big enough to list all the ways in which she is great is in her own greatness itself.
Cover yourself.
You know, Latifah, there's playing against type, and then there's playing yourself as a southern prude who hates pop music. I realize that doesn't sound like she's playing herself, but trust me on this, she kind of is. Somehow.
Love letter?
From my father.
This film is from a more innocent time, when you could hear that exchange and not instantly jump to a joke about the president. Kind of like the time in the UK before the office of Prime Minister got forever linked to jokes about fucking dead pigs.
Oh, I used to think church music was all corny and whatnot, and then you get up there and it's like...
But it's like, still corny, but I want to touch your titties. The scene goes on, just long enough that the foliage has had enough of its shit. Branch Davidians, doing the Lord's work. Anyway, she leaves him in a strange town with a possible concussion. Good, I'd have done the same, though deliberately. Later on, Pastor Johnny Cochran's having lunch with the catfight.
That is a lovely hat, Vi Rose.
Looks more like a deranged ornithopter. Anyway, Latifah's husband rejoined the military, partially because he worked out what sort of film this was going to be, and partially because he couldn't find any other work.
I mean, who rejoins the army for a second time at age 35?
Someone who's out of work and wants to feed his family.
Well, it's just confusing, that's all.
What you trying to say?
That she's confused by the existence of poor people.
My mama told me if people swept in front of their own doors, this whole world would be clean.
Hell yeah.
What?
Apologize for your language, young lady.
Sorry.
Wait, what? I thought the pastor was calling Latifah and making up random shit and labeling it folk wisdom.
What?
Joyful noise. Just when I thought I couldn't get any more annoyed with you, you proved I can't, because you're really shit.
Did you know there have been more one-hit wonders in the hip-hop era than in the entire 30 years of music that preceded it?
It's really sad that Nerdy Ray Charles here is one of the best depictions of a spectrum person in film.
My particular favorite is Walk Away Renee by The Left Tank. Just walk away, Renee.
Dolly Parton's grandson, a boy called Randy, decides to teach Walter, Latifah's son, the piano because, like ebony and ivory, they sit together but apart because he doesn't like to be touched.
I don't like to be touched.
I won't touch you.
I'm in love with a stripper. She vibing, she rolling.
Question, he's into one-hit wonders, but how can he tell what's a one-hit wonder? Does he refuse to listen to any music that's not a few years old? Just in case the band has a second hit? Anyway, here's the rivals in this church choir singing contest thing.
Baylor Sykes and the Holy Vision Church of Detroit. They're the reason we never make it to the finals.
Okay, I have a plan to deal with them, but it might take a while. First, you poison their water supply. Then you wait for years until you realize that no one in power gives a fuck about black people's water in Michigan. Then you hire someone with a tire iron. Dolly Parton's grandson decides to join the choir, but Latifah's not into the idea.
You just want to be near my little girl.
Well, yeah. Busted.
I'm sorry.
I'd call you stubborn, but that'd be an insult to mules.
I love how Parton and Latifah's issues with each other are barely explained. If that. It's not at all really annoying.
I hate this film. I really hate it. I really fucking hate it. Have you ever read I Have No Mouth Yet I Must Scream? Have you ever read Am's vivid description of how much he hates humanity? Well, that's piss play compared to how much I hate this fucking film. Minion! Someone saw off Dolly Parton's head!
I can't do that, mistress. That happened years ago. She's a head on a stick with drill bits hanging off for the tits.
I'm gonna assume I did that. Latifah's desire to win is dwarfed by her desire to piss off Dolly Parton, so he has to audition first.
Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time.
He is allowed to join the Cadbury Dairy Monks when the wood and plasterboard church shows its acceptance of him by not reverberating even slightly during his song.
Maybe I'm a girl.
Maybe you're a girl? Okay, now I'm expecting a shocking twist. I hate to keep ragging on the uniforms. Well, actually, no, I don't. But they look like Cadbury's themed space cult outfits. Like if Heaven's Gate were really into Wispas. Afterwards, I think we're meant to be charmed that Dolly Parton's grandson doesn't know what lyrics are.
That was amazing! It was like you knew everything I was gonna sing before I sang it.
I have no idea whether this scene's set in long grass. It's like the director got bored with not making a samurai film.
Young love. I haven't been with anyone in 3 years.
4.
8 minutes. What do you think I'm doing when I'm not on screen? I'm not watching this shit!
This film operates on horror movie rules. Sex equals death. Or worse, marriage.
Mr. Sue!
He really didn't want to see her again. This is some next level ghosting.
Cherish the brief time you and Mr. Sue had together, rather than weep for his loss.
That's not why I'm crying. From now on, I'll just be known as the girl who you know. Tap it and die.
The white guy dies and it's special and tragic. The Asian guy dies and it's a fucking joke. Someone's death is being played for laughs.
That's what I do! You're stealing my bit!
And honestly, I can see a lot of men getting more interested after finding out you literally fucked someone to death. For the challenge, if nothing else.
I hear that.
Lazy bum. It's time for your lesson.
No one wants to hang out with me.
He does. He just went to the roof to hang out with you. Walter's depressed, so Gopher Trace takes him to a quarry, which you might recognize as the location of the command center in that other film where the white loner jock hangs out with a black spectrum guy with an atypical taste in music.
I like country music. No, matter of fact, I love country music.
I prefer one-hit wonders like Sir Mix-a-Lot.
I want to see the alternate reality where Trini, Kimberly, and Zach have to deal with their families getting into a church feud by getting high and having a threesome.
The quarry, where the acoustics can run free.
I'm suddenly less thrilled because every time they open their mouths here, their singing gets worse.
That woman is crazy! That woman is crazy! That woman is crazy! That woman is crazy!
They're talking about Latifah, but that's not important because she might actually be crazy. Besides, Hinton Battles arrived to get revenge for reasons. I mean, Randy's one of the leads in Joyful Noise. If you can think of a better reason to hate him, I'd like to hear it. Alas, he thinks of a much worse reason. You see, he's still doing everything short of peeing on Latifah's daughter to claim her as his.
You don't care about Olivia. She don't mean nothing to you but a challenge. The challenge is everything, boy.
I have no idea how deliberate this is, but this film is filled with stuff that would sound a bit racist if they swapped around who was saying it to who.
The challenge is everything, boy. You're the one that don't mean nothing to me.
want you to beware. Because Joyful Noise is going to try to draw you in with its groundbreaking fight scenes. But be strong. And you know where that strength comes from? It comes from the Divine Hagan herself. Why, has she not given it all for us? Has she not taken the head of Julius Darren and nailed it to the wall for us? Has she not endured the Vomit Gore trilogy just for us, even though I personally could not watch? In fact, the only joyful noise that we should want is the joyful noise that the DVD makes as it is being trampled underfoot by the many tribes of Israel.
Back with the action, Latifah is pissed off that some action happened near her son.
You know what? You a falling rock zone. And anybody who stands too close to you is gonna have a whole mess of rocks fall on them too.
Wait, what? If he's a falling rock zone, then people beside him should be fine because the rocks should be localized within him.
Unless you're suggesting that your son was fucking him when the fight happened.
You know what? You a falling rock zone. And anybody who stands too close to you is gonna have a whole mess of rocks fall on them too.
If the rocks are falling beside him, then the falling rock zone needs to be expanded, but that would mean he'd be absorbing other people and stuff, and that visual is way too interesting for this film. Latifah's decided to try and keep her kids from Sopher Trace's bad influence. All this does is drive her daughter Olivia into his arms. Literally. All in all, it's probably a good thing Walter doesn't like to be touched. Okay, I can see her moving church or kicking him out of the choir, but since they're starring in the same film, she can't really keep them apart. Now, Dolly Parton, on the other hand...
Oh! Back to your quarters! This is not going to turn into that in my house, and get your little butt off my table. That's right.
It's the regional finals with this choir from Detroit. It's hardly a fair fight. I mean, they clearly hired all the existing newsboys to perform. And I'd like to know exactly what region includes both small-town Georgia and fucking Detroit. They are pretty progressive, though, spending minutes singing about loving a Hispanic guy called Jesus.
I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Jesus, I'm in love with you.
You know, I think I'm filled with the Spirit. Really? Yes. Tequila. The drummer didn't explode. 2 stars. Even the film realizes that seeing the star sing again would just be disappointing, so we just cut to the bus where Pastor Johnny Cochran has made a decision.
It's not going to be any next year, Vi. It's official.
What? Ladies and gentlemen of the so-called choir, Chewbacca is a Wookiee. Now what was he doing in Endor surrounded by 2-foot Ewoks? This does not make sense. And so does us continuing to spend money on this crap every year. The pastor's got the same attitude to coming second as Max Force and Cheap. That really should be enough to make him rethink his position, but he won't. It's a good thing that actual successful things don't have this attitude, or Steve Jobs would have held an iMac in his hands as he fed himself into a wood chipper. If money's the issue, it can't be that much. They're 300 miles from the town and they probably already own the bus. If it is that much, then ask Dolly Parton to cover it. She's allegedly got more money than God.
We're very appreciative at the church of your generous support. In fact, I don't think we'd be able to stay open without you.
Let me correct that. She has more money than God. She's funding the fucker!
Later on, Olivia, very Newton-John, is talking about trying to convince her mum to rejig the arrangements at dancing so they've a better chance the next time. The next time that apparently won't happen.
It's not going to be any next year, Vi. It's official.
This is important because it reminded me of how much I wanted them to stab each other with their rib cages.
All right, keep your voice down.
She's at work. She can't catch you.
Yeah, I know, but you're scaring the animals. See, they're all staring at us.
Moo, motherfuckers, moo.
Look at the yak. He's totally into you. Come on! What do I have to do to cheer you up?
Fuck a yak, apparently. He drags her on a road trip that either takes a week or just feels like it does. Either way, Latifah's worried as fuck.
She could be somewhere dead in a ditch.
No one involved in this film is that lucky.
My mother's gonna kill us both.
At least we'll die together.
I had my heart set on not dying, actually. These fucks are just mocking me with the possibility of murder. Now's a good time to wonder what exactly he did to get kicked out of his parents' place in New York. Were they actually horrible people, or is this another Christian movie that wants to do a thing but won't actually show it? Or give details because God! And because it would make his little jaunt with her much more threatening. He's driven her to the military base her dad's stationed at so they can have a bit of a heart-to-heart. Yep, that's her dad, even though an earlier scene said he was 35 years old.
I mean, who rejoins the army for a second time at age 35?
Someone who's out of work and wants to feed his family.
Good work, you're only a decade out. Or did you film this in 2002 and release it 10 years later by accident?
Andy, can you give us a minute?
Well, I don't get any dinner. I only drove you here. Can I at least take my water? Get the fuck out of the diner! Okay, but, I'm gonna leave you a bad review in Yelp.
I'll be outside.
I'll be outside, not paying any of the bill. Hey, I have a question. They're having money troubles, so why don't they live in the base with him?
And I see the way her face looks when we read our letters.
What letters? Baby, I haven't sent any letters.
Wait, are you not her father then? Did he find the wrong soldier? Oh, how potentially racist.
I took a pretty big chance here. I'd really appreciate it if you'd smile.
Nah, Queen Latifah wrote the letters for reasons. And if I cared about this film, I'd look over the footage and point out that the letters were handwritten. So Latifah and her handwriting mimicry might be worth more to the military than him. Anyway, back at home, Walter's bothering Latifah with simple questions that she can't coherently answer.
Because I just don't understand what's so great about God.
You don't mean that.
Seems like he don't do much around here that I can see.
Well, clearly he has to remove his shades of atheism and put on some God glasses.
Baby, you have to think of God as a parent. You know, when I punish you or make you eat your greens.
Or that time I destroyed the economy of that Lego town you made until all the plastic people had was a fucking singing contest. Or when I drowned all but 2 of your pet mice because you pissed me off. Me and God might need to be reported to Child Protective Services, but if you try that, I'll hit you with all 10 plagues. And remember, you're the firstborn child.
Right. You spend all your time singing songs and praising God. And he's who did this to me. He made me this way. If you loved me, you'd hate him.
Shoot, God don't make no mistakes, Walter, and he ain't about to start with you.
So, he intends to create Harlequin ichthyosis babies? Sweet. Well done, Latifah. Your child is distressed about being Spectrum, being told that God is responsible for everything, and taken the logical step of blaming him for his distress. Now, clearly there is nothing wrong with being Spectrum, and his distress is caused by having to navigate a society designed for neurotypical people. But you didn't explain that. If anything, you agreed with him and told him that God hurt him deliberately.
Shoot, God don't make no mistakes, Walter, and he ain't about to start with you.
Now he's dealing with all that pain, that valid fucking pain, and, pardon the pun, the mother of all cognitive dissonance. Latifah breaks into the church to pray for basic fucking parenting skills and has a private maudlin introspection song aimed mainly at the screenwriter.
Fix me, Jesus, fix me.
Either that or she's sad they don't have a vet in this town and she really doesn't want any more kids. So I'm trying to work out where all this came from when suddenly the whole cast turned to ghost and I remembered I don't need to care about this shit.
Oh, fix me.
Now, my brothers and sisters, like the heavens themselves, the divine Hagan remains silent on whether or not Queen Latifah should be spayed to prevent additional children, but inasmuch as she is good, just, right, and true, I know that the divine Hagan would remind us that it is Queen Latifah's right to choose. Now, can I get an amen?
Hello, I'm Alistair. We got church now. This is fucking amazing. I love this. It's a giant bare room. Hello, Pastor.
Can I get a man to remove this man?
The whole last scene was her telling her son that he's wrong for wanting to not be Spectrum, that he doesn't need fixing, that you need a bigger box.
And when someone don't fit into a neat little box, the answer ain't to squeeze them in there even harder. You build a bigger box.
But apparently, she can have a fucking musical number about how she wants to be fixed, for reasons that are too important to actually explain.
Oh, fix me.
Hey, lady. Fuck you!
This woman is so horrible, I'm hereby demoting Latifah from Duchess to asshole. Anyway, in the morning, she gets a call to collect her daughter at the base. I'm guessing Beaufort Mace's car was stolen outside the diner. Hopefully when he was in it. Drama, 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 so stale and boring it doesn't even get the fucking chant.
You better control your mouth, young lady.
After a bust-up with Olivia Garden, he decides to leave town. Apparently, she's not allowed to see him outside of choir practice.
My mother won't let me see you anymore outside of choir.
That earlier scene where Latifah banned her from seeing him literally just cut it with the plot.
She can't keep me from seeing you.
Apparently can't means will, but with a short time delay. He's leaving town, on foot, even though he has a car, and is stopped by Dolly Parton. Or rather, the sentient alien spaghetti on her head that's piloting her desiccated corpse for nefarious purposes. She convinces him to stay, though, because, I was right, the Detroit choir was made up of ringers and the team was disqualified.
Well, because half their choir was made up with paid professionals.
I knew they couldn't be that good.
Those poor bastards. Ex-pop stars. So pathetic that they can't even make it onto reality TV.
How'd they get caught?
You sucked someone off? Latifah decides to find out who they're up against in the national finals, using the power of using the power of Gigablast. We don't need a fucking URL.
Maybe you got it wrong, Gigi.
No, got it right here. Our Lady of Perpetual Tears.
Maybe you've got the search engine wrong because they're called Our Lady of Perpetual Tears, which I googled and got over 1 million results. And the whole first page were about a fucking choir. And honestly, I'm shocked there's not about 15 goth bands with that name. Actually, that would make a great rest of the film. They mistake a goth band for their opponents and practice doing Bauhaus covers to beat them at their own game.
You have to do new songs and use Randy's arrangements.
Latifah quits the choir because this film doesn't have a plot. It is a series of scenes and subplots because pointless shit makes the world go round. Oh wait, sad guys looking at stuff break.
I don't want you to work all day.
Okay, done.
See you tomorrow, 11:30.
Parton bothers Latifah at work to try and make her come back to the choir.
I had no idea you had to take another job.
I just don't understand people needing to work. It's confusing. This quickly devolves into the sexiest catfight of the film. Honestly, the management needs to either give out refunds or increase the prices to cover the dinner theater.
I love to see things from your point of view. I just can't seem to stick my head that far up my ass.
Safe to say, Christopherson bailed because killing vampires was less dangerous than dealing with these two egos. The manager somehow managed to miss 80% of this and fires Latifah.
If I rose, you are fired.
I'm fired?
Yes.
When Parton really should have been the one banned from the place for harassing her at work. Though she could probably buy it and unban herself before Latifah finished her shift, so maybe it's for the best.
Bye!
Okay, that's 3 characters and counting who can only express their emotions in healthy ways by playing the fucking piano. This film is a musical therapy group in search of a circle of chairs. And how the fuck is she singing without moving her lips?
You can get the same effect by jamming a pile of animatronic shit into a wig.
From here to the moon and back.
Parton used to sing this song with her husband, Chris Christopherson. You'd think that would make this vaguely incesty and weird, but no, not vaguely.
I could tell you how long I will long for your touch.
Holy crap, he's a vampire now! The song's actually pretty sweet, or as sweet as you can get from an elderly explosion in a titty and wig factory. I imagine this really affects a certain age of country and western fan. I mean, Dolly Parton and Chris Christopherson are in love and singing. And one's a ghost. I can't wait till he possesses Latifah and takes up pottery with Parton. Anyway, Olivia Oyl tries to convince her mum to come back to the choir by giving her one hell of a God-tripping. It's like a guilt-tripping but with God.
Well, if you quit now, you're quitting on God.
Bitch, did you not watch the movie? I am God! She rejoins and they start practicing their asses off, nearly literally. Come on, twerk for Jesus! Look at him up there on the cross. He has no hips. Give him yours!
Early, get your Beyonce out of my face.
Anyway, the band, Faith plus 35, are a bit shit, so they need a new one. This is where the asshole, shaped like young Anthony Mackie from earlier, comes in.
You must be out your mind. I heard you play all my life. All those summer house party jams.
You know, all that shit we didn't bother filming.
You're incredible, Manny.
Hey, movie, isn't this a bit like bringing a talented ringer in from outside the church? Like the Detroit team did? We're gonna ignore that? Okay, fine. The pastor's not into the new direction that the choir's gone in. He's brought Dolly Parton in to pop his monocle and give her a lecture, and he's all out of monocles.
Without being sponsored by a church, you cannot perform.
You withdraw your support, you leave me no choice but to withdraw my support.
If you drop the sponsorship, I'll become a humanist minister at that Life Church thingy. Then I'll build a bigger, better church down the road from yours because I'm Dolly fucking Parton. Dolly fucking Pastor!
Well, I suppose you'll have to follow your conscience. And I'll follow mine.
The choir heads off to the competition without Poker Face or Dolly Parton and ready to sing the old losery songs. And I just realised that Zophyr Taste looks like a coal scuttle. Anyway, trouble's brewing again between Latifah and her daughter. They're like Old Faithful in Yellowstone. Eruptions happen regularly, even if you can't tell why on the surface.
You think I'm not pretty?
Didn't say that.
I am an incandescent, board-certified supermodel, baby.
They spend the better part of this scene yelling at each other that they're hotter than their mother and or daughter. I wish they just cut to the end and get a room. Get back to the room they already booked.
But beautiful as you are, and you are very, very beautiful, I would hang mirrors all over my house if I could just to look at myself.
But we must give thanks, my brothers and sisters, that the divine Hagan has continued to let us live, even though she is so tested and so enraged by this film.
I put one on the refrigerator just to watch myself eat all of them calories. And if I gave myself a heart attack from all
Wow, she is loud. Latifah, I mean, like, I don't even think that's the review. I think we can still hear it from when they filmed it.
Get your little narrow behind back in that room. Get back in that bed. And you treat my snoring like it is a Marvin Gaye love song.
Yes, and the scene before it becomes even more like a porno. Back at Dolly Parton's, Moper Vase is trying to sleep through the rest of the film. Very clever. But Dolly Parton's thought of how to get the better of that mean old pastor. Yodel for no discernible reason.
Yodel-a-dee-hoo! I know what to do!
Now, again, a character is doing what I said they should, and I was being sarcastic. She registers online as a pastor, and her house is a church, so she, her grandson, and his song choices can take over the choir before the contest.
It's the certificate for the establishment of a church.
Pastor Gigi. Has a nice ring to it, don't it?
Sounds like the worst pastor Ben Affleck ever had.
Gobble, gobble.
But Hagan, I hear you ask, from very far away, because I have impeccable hearing. Surely a choir can't just create a church for the finals. Surely that's at least as big a rules breach as getting legit singers on board. Well, yeah, I agree, but the film's taken the brave step of not giving a fuck.
Turns out the competition folks don't care what church sponsors the choir as long as somebody does.
Apart from everything else, what's stopping the Satanists, Scientologists, or even worse, non-Baptist Christians from taking part? This is all moot anyway, as the pastor relents to her blackmail and just lets them perform. And what was stopping them from doing the Christian thing? You know, go to LA, use their songs, then ask the pastor for forgiveness. In LA, we have the obligatory bit where the choir is shocked to find out that the arena seats more people than live in Georgia. And it turns out that Mr. Sue's unfortunate death has made her murder vagina, aka the best kind of vagina, a celebrity.
He had high blood pressure!
Stop fucking whining and see that murder vagina for what it is. A fucking power-up! Literally.
You are a beautiful, intelligent woman. And I know you will meet a wonderful guy.
Tell you what, if you're right, I'll dance a jig and do a split.
I'd like to see that.
I bet you will.
Look! Look!
Okay, how the fuck did they see out that window and down 2 stories? Motherfuckers in their church have a hive mind. Either that or they can smell Dolly Parton coming. She's got enough Botox in her to poison a town, enough hair products to explode what's left. Okay, time for the actual contest, emceed by Lucy Lawless by way of the Hunger Games. She sings too, but I don't hate you enough to subject you to that. Shit's going down backstage in the green room. This is happening, and Parton's being sagely.
Can I give you some advice?
You don't look nearly enough like a drag queen for this film. That was more sarcasm that they took literally. Oh, time for the time-warping powers of makeup.
You look amazing.
Dude, your grandma is hot. Anyway, it turns out that the murder vagina is so famous that the woman attached to it has got herself a stalker. And he chose the worst possible place to introduce himself.
I know I don't know you, but you just seem so special. Is that creepy?
It'd be less creepy just about anywhere but there!
She's instantly into him, meaning that not only has she got a very particular type, tall, thin Asian men, but apparently all tall, thin Asian men are into her. I wish they'd just remove all the pointless extra subplots in this, but they're the film's skeleton. It would just deflate into the mass of Latifah and Parton's egos. Anyway, Latifah and her daughter make up thanks to the unbreakable bonds of sexual tension.
Oh my God.
I'd totally do you.
How did I not notice?
Well, you need to be to enjoy this.
So, finally, Our Lady of Perpetual Tears, aka the Michael Jackson Kidnapped from the Mid-70s Singers, take to the stage for the contest final.
It's a car wash, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, this is meant to be a church choir. Wouldn't this kiddie burlesque show get really tiresome every Sunday? Like, we got it, kids. We got it, you love Jesus. Stay on the fucking stage for once!
So brothers, sisters, non-binaries and undefined peoples, that is why I will personally tase the fuck out of any child who would dare to assault my flock with song.
It's not fair. How are we supposed to compete with that?
By being main characters. You'd be shocked how often that works out.
And even if we win, we're beating a bunch of little kids. It don't feel right.
I mean, this isn't like beating them with a stick. They'd remember this. Latifah has a message for the rest of the choir. Swallow their misgivings and musically eat those fucking kids' hearts out.
Hey! This is the big time, baby. Didn't Jesus say suffer the little children? Yes, he did.
Okay, so hurting children is fine, but hiring pro singers is bad, even though they have both Dolly Parton and Latifah on side. Unless the film's trying to make some kind of a point, these guys are gonna win anyway. Adding this speech about hurting kids is okay does not make it feel like a fair contest between equals. It feels like those kids' collective souls are being forced onto a curb with their mouths open. And the speech is there to make sure that you don't feel bad about it.
This is Pat the Show. What will Bernie do? Come on now.
Well, according to the internet, he'd win the general election, declare world peace, eat Sean Hannity's face, and cure cancer.
1, 2, 3,
What follows is a massively over-the-top performance that they not only didn't clear with the tech guys, who somehow keep in perfect sync with them.
I don't know what they're doing. Just follow my cues, give them everything you got.
For a song that they didn't name beforehand, so the choir should have no idea what the fuck they're even singing. Complete with actions that they didn't practice, an entire horn section that just appeared, an impromptu rap from Vanilla Iceberg, all the leads getting their own parts to the song, which again, was not planned beforehand, breakdancing as reimagined by someone from Office Space, and
again, the lighting and tech guys have no script for this! This better be a fucking hallucination!
no, it's not a fucking hallucination. They just sensed that Latifah wanted to pretend she was back in Chicago. Most of the choir don't even do anything. Why? Because they're extras. You'd think there'd be a rule against having a choir, mostly made up of people who aren't singing, but logical fucking rules do not apply if you're from Packashaw fucking Georgia.
Movie, fuck you with the withered corpse of your god!
And what's really insulting is that the fucking audience got to their feet within seconds of the fucking song starting. Paid ringers, Dolly Parton probably bought the audience at a fucking auction.
Now Now be aware, my brothers and sisters, that as this infernal film draws towards its climax, so does climax the rage of our divine mistress Hagan. Now be aware that she will be on the lookout for someone upon which to slake that holy and just rage, and why? It is because she is the Lord. And here I see the divine Hagan coming towards us. She... Oh,
you fucking Topher Grace-looking motherfucker!
Amen. This is supposed to be an uplifting and happy ending, adversity being defeated by love and the Lord. But it's not. A bunch of kids who did a fuckload of hard work are being defeated by a bunch of assholes because reality itself became convinced they were entitled to the prize.
You know, I'd cheer too if I just saw fucking magic happen.
Yeah, they won. Latifah and partner friends, Quofer Quace and Olivia Twist are officially a couple. There's a truckload of kids who were crying all the way to Florida or wherever they came from, but who gives a fuck about them? Not them. Not me either. They were in Joyful Noise. Fuck them, and everyone has the same name as them. Man, these townsfolk are really excited to see a bus. Oh, fuck! Then we're a year later and the stalker's marrying his beloved murder vagina. The choirs got so full of themselves they started Milli Vanilli-ing.
We're a part of his creation. Every person, every nation.
Well, being even more obvious about it, Latifah's husband politely crashes the wedding to show off his dress uniform. He's probably been promoted to colonel or something. Latifah and her husband get showered with rice, as throwing it at the actual groom might be seen as a bit racist. What I'm taking away from this film is that the Baptists are apparently the least Jesus-heavy kind of church in the USA. They're like the Church of England, but with singing instead of cucumber sandwiches.
You don't need to tell me this is inaccurate. I don't give a fuck.
Other than the generally decent depiction of someone on the autism spectrum, I hate this film. But not for the reasons you might think. Okay, maybe a lot of them, but not only them. It's the exact point where competent meets boring as fuck. It's like Christiansploitation cinema, but made with a non-deranged. It's well made, it's not too stupid, it's not badly acted, and that's the problem. Torture, bizarre sex, weird shit, all that stuff can't hurt me. I could do a comedy review made up entirely of documentary footage of real people dying if I had to. But to really hurt me, you need an offensively inoffensive mawkish drama. Teen romance, turgid singing, homespun bullshit. And you need to do it well enough that it's not automatically funny. That's not even mentioning the fact that underneath all the happy facades, almost all the main characters are cunts. And not in the usual entertaining dress up in a weird costume and kill people sort of way. With the exception of at least one of Latifah's kids, they're all just really unpleasant.
In short, fuck you, Joyful Noise!
What the fuck? Ah! Why didn't anyone clean this fucker up? I think I broke my leg! Ah!
Well, you see, mistress, the cleaning minions, along with all the other minions, they're still in church. Because with the pastor dead, nobody knows when the service is over.
What? What's that? Even Tabby?
Oh yeah, he wandered off with Alistair. Alistair wanted to show him something behind the theater company. I don't know.
Oh, help me!
Yeah, I'll help you. What I'll do is I'll put something on to amuse you while you wait. How about Joyful Noise again?
Isadora, Tom Nolan, Craig Sheffer, Ruth Gordon, and a special appearance by Jermaine Jackson. Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
Hello.
My name is Diamanda Grace Jones Hagan, and I would like to talk to you today about minion starvation. This minion has not eaten in days, and is currently grasping towards the camera because I've taped a sandwich to it.
Oh, no!
Can you help? No, not really, but what you can do is check our Patreon and help the economy of Afghanistan in doing many incredible and important things, such as buying a more expensive sandwich to tape to the camera. So please, join us in making this minion's life a little bit harder.